May 7th to 8th, 2026. Flood concerns continued across southern China as Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region remained under the threat of heavy rain and rising water levels following days of severe weather. Although the most destructive flooding in Qinzhou had started earlier in the week, emergency officials and meteorologists warned on May 7th and May 8th that additional rainfall could trigger renewed flash floods, landslides, and urban waterlogging in several parts of Guangxi. Authorities maintained high alert levels, while rescue and cleanup operations continued in communities damaged by the earlier storms. The city of Qinzhou became one of the most widely discussed disaster zones during the event after extraordinary rainfall submerged roads, stranded vehicles, and forced evacuations in residential neighborhoods. Earlier rainfall totals in the city exceeded 270 millimeters within 24 hours, setting a new April rainfall record for the area. Some local districts recorded much higher totals in only a few hours, with intense downpours, overwhelming drainage systems, and rapidly flooding low-lying streets. Weather officials described the storm as unusually powerful for this time of year. By May 7th, emergency workers were still removing water and debris from flooded sections of Qinzhou, while meteorological agencies warned that unstable atmospheric conditions remained over southern China. Forecast models suggested that additional bands of rain moving northward from the South China Sea could combine with warm, humid air already covering Guangxi. Officials feared that rivers and drainage canals, already swollen from previous storms, would struggle to absorb more rainfall if another intense rain band developed over the region. Videos recorded during the flooding continued spreading online throughout May 7th and May 8th. The footage showed muddy water rushing through city streets, submerged cars parked along flooded roads, and residents moving through chest-deep water in some neighborhoods. Rescue crews wearing orange emergency uniforms used inflatable boats to move trapped residents to safer locations. In several clips, firefighters carried elderly residents and children through strong currents, while heavy rain continued falling in the background. Local authorities said hundreds of people had been evacuated from dangerous areas around Qinzhou and nearby districts during the flooding emergency. Schools in some locations suspended classes temporarily while transportation disruptions affected daily activity across parts of Guangxi. Traffic police were deployed to blocked intersections, where vehicles became trapped in deep floodwater. Some underground parking areas and low-level buildings were heavily damaged after water entered rapidly during the height of the storm. Chinese weather experts explained that the rainfall pattern resembled conditions usually seen later in the summer monsoon season, rather than in late April and early May. According to meteorologists, moist tropical air from the South China Sea continuously fed thunderstorm development over coastal Guangxi, allowing repeated storm cells to move over the same locations for many hours. This training effect dramatically increased rainfall totals and raised the danger of flash flooding in urban and mountainous areas. The Guangxi regional government activated emergency flood control measures and instructed local agencies to monitor reservoirs, rivers, hillsides, and flood-prone districts closely. Emergency management departments warned residents to avoid unnecessary travel during periods of intense rainfall, because even a short burst of heavy rain could flood roads within minutes. Authorities also warned of possible landslides in mountainous regions where soil had become saturated after days of rain. During May 7th and May 8th, weather agencies continued issuing rainstorm alerts across southern China as the broader flood threat expanded beyond Guangxi into neighboring provinces, including Guangdong and Hunan. Forecasters warned that some regions could still receive another 100 millimeters or more of rain before conditions gradually improved. Residents living near rivers and streams were advised to stay alert for sudden rises in water levels. Despite the dangerous conditions, rescue operations and recovery work continued around the clock. Pumping crews worked to drain flooded streets, while utility workers repaired damaged infrastructure in affected neighborhoods. Local media reported that water levels in some urban districts had slowly started receding by May 8th, allowing traffic to resume on several major roads. However, emergency officials stressed that the disaster risk had not completely ended because additional storms remained possible. By the evening of May 8th, emergency teams in Guangxi remained on standby as authorities continued monitoring weather systems moving across southern China. Although conditions had improved in some locations, officials warned residents not to underestimate the danger because rivers, canals, and drainage systems were still under pressure after the earlier flooding. Cleanup operations, evacuations, and flood control measures continued while forecasters watched for the possibility of another round of heavy rain during the following days. Meteorological agencies also warned fishermen and coastal communities near the Beibu Gulf to remain cautious because thunderstorms and strong winds could accompany the heavy rain bands moving across Guangxi. Officials said even areas that avoided major flooding earlier in the week could still experience dangerous flash floods if localized storms intensified suddenly.
Hai van, vừa lo vừa đài. Không muốn là kiểu đáng lên trong là.
Thanks for watching Severe Weather, where we break down the facts behind nature's most intense moments. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps this channel going. Hit the bell so you never miss a real, calm, and clear report. See you in the next one. Stay informed, stay safe.